Yippee yippee yippee. Very yippee. Where's my phone? Holy moly. Good. I think everything should be working. I haven't even checked anything. Let's see. See how many people joined in the early morning. Welcome to the early morning stream. I'm expecting like max 5 people to join. It is the early morning, or if you consider 9 AM to be an early morning. Hello peeps, well that's already more people than I'd expected. I don't think I've ever streamed this early. Ever. Let me tone down the music a little bit, it's a bit too loud for me. It's a bit loud for a morning. I can tell who's the Americans and who's the Asians based on the chat. I guess it's quite the early morning in America. I mean, by early morning stream, I don't mean 3 AM, I mean like 8 AM, but I mean technically, I don't know if you'd consider 3 AM a morning or late night. Depends on your sleep schedule, I guess. I don't know, maybe I could see 3 AM as an early morning in some fantasy land. Hello, hello Cascade. This is how it is. I wish I would be back in bed. I'm not gonna lie. I should have gone to the gym today, but I was like, nah. Pre-exam in 2 hours. What's a pre-exam? Is it an exam before an exam? What am I drawing? It is Asha. And I'm zooming in poorly. I had to take a break from animating due to the whole thesis shabackle. And I'm slowly getting back to it, but this is my practice. I'm still not fully into the flow of drawing yet. A practice exam. I see. An early exam. You go, Coscut, you go. Good luck with the exam. I'm focusing so hard on this. I'm focused, I'm locked in. I'm locked in. We are locked in. Do I animate so smoothly? I don't know. I don't know, fellas. Ooh, they fighting. They fighting. While walking fast. Walking fast. Do 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 do. I think this is a very awkward type for a stream. But it's about being unique, you know. It is a unique time to be streaming. And that's what we're all about. I'm playing a little bit of a more bass music to stay awake. Because I'd also rather just be taking a nap. Although that is easier when, like for you guys, for some of you it's 3 a.m. A bit easier to take a nap at that time than at 9 a.m. Very gosh dang nabbit. Yoink. Hello, fellas. Yeah, I didn't expect people to join the stream. But y'all be napping or working. It is Friday. And Toss texted me. I don't think he knows that I'm streaming. Hold on. I'm gonna tell him. I don't think he's gonna join because he's sick. So he would just sound like a dying witch or something. I don't know, in Czech cartoons, which has always had this absolutely raspy, god-awful voice. Just a smoker of 10 years. That was the main casting decision for them, I guess. Just get me someone who sounds god fucking awful. I'm on the wrong layer too, god damn it! Maybe Toss will pop up in the chat. He's in school right now. Just nice, he was sick, so I guess now he's feeling a little bit better, I guess. If he's going to school. Or is he gonna make all his classmates sick? Who knows? Thank you for all the nice words in the chat, by the way. I'm not that lively at this hour. I ever finished a 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. Last time I finished a puzzle was... when I was 10. I have no idea. I haven't done a puzzle in so long. I think that would be so nice. I think as like a relax method, I should definitely buy just a 1,000 piece puzzle and just do that on when I'm like, when I don't want to work or anything and I just want to relax. I think it'd be so... I think a puzzle would be so good for my mental health. But that's just a hunch. It really depends on how I'd actually... how I'd actually feel if I can't find that one puzzle piece. But as a kid I had too many puzzles and I would always solve them and then just one piece would go missing. And then I'd be rather sad, like you can't really... who loses its whole point if you're missing one piece? I mean, you can solve the rest, but it's kind of it's not really it anymore, you know? It doesn't hit the same afterwards. Oh, the AI pictures, yeah. Actually, I do have like a giant puzzle. Like one of my distant relatives for some reason works at a puzzle factory or something. And they gave me just this whole, literally just a bag. A bag and then like a printed low-res picture of what it's like supposed to be. I haven't gotten to it yet. I was like, that's a whole... that's a bag, you know? That's a whole rucksack of puzzle. I don't even know how many pieces that is. When I was like, maybe I'll get to it. I probably should get to it. It's time to get a new hobby, puzzle solving. And puzzles are nice. I tried cross-stitching a while ago and it takes so much time to actually get something done. But because I'm not the expert at it yet, I don't have the muscle memory for it. Like animation. Lab puzzle merch. Shouldn't we? I'd buy that. I'd frame that. I'd solve it and I'd frame it. I'll do this with the ear. Doing a bit of rough animation. I usually do most of the cleanup during the line art. Puzzle solving this one. I wonder, the site I had my eyes on, I don't remember actually. What's the common merge site? There's just this one where you just upload your... I think it's Spring, actually. Yeah, Spring for creators. Let me try and log into my... What password did I use? I need to do CAPTCHA crosswalks. That sounds like a crosswalk. Do I have to do this every time I guess my login info? I'm logging with Google. Let's hope I can log in with Google. Okay, God bless. Do they have? Because it's mostly like create products. It's often just clothes. Let's see, what do they have? Canvas, ornament. They have t-shirts. There's like digital, home decor, bath. What is bath? Oh, I could. you can make a shower curtain. We can make a lap shower curtain. Footwear. Let's see. What is footwear? Oh, it's like slippers. Sports and outdoor stickers, jewelry, footwear, collections. And there doesn't seem... Home decor. Maybe it's in home decor? Would you consider puzzle to be home decor? Pillow, blanket. There's a jigsaw puzzle! Guys, we can literally make a loading burn puzzle. I think it's quite expensive. Honestly, all of these stuff. Merch tends to be so much more expensive because it's such a niche. Around $50. How much is that? Hold on. I need to put this into perspective. 1,000 Czech crowns. Ah, Jesus. Jesus! Let me see. Let me see how much a normal 1,000 piece is on the Czech market. It's like... It's like a quarter of that. That's like how many USD that is. Let me choose the most expensive one. 21, around $14 for 1,000 piece on the Czech market. This one is all 50. So if I were to make a loading burn puzzle, it would cost $50. I mean, maybe Redbubble. I know Redbubble is like the cheap, like one of the more cheapest ones. Let's see, puzzle. Redbubble puzzle. It's it's around the same, actually same price. It's around 40 euros, but I think euros are a bit bigger than dollars right now. Euro to USD. It's kind of the same, same-ish. God damn. So it's a bit silly. The puzzle addiction. God bless. Yeah, there's a lot of things, but I feel like merch is so expensive. Or I'm not even sure if I'd wanna sell something so expensive. I don't know, I have like a big problem with overcharging and etc. I am not the type of person to set a good profit margin. I don't think I'd do well at a company. I'd just be like, that's too expensive. Let's make it free for our customers. And then they fire me. And then I cry. Kind of missing the amulet here. Hold on. Hello, so many production peeps on this early time. Yeah, I did have emotional rock collection. Actually, one that I kind of still have is Toss. We went out into the Czech mountainside and he literally dug up like was it like fossils of the, you know, the little water creatures on Czech soil, and I was like, oh, I'm keeping that. Those are fossils. You know, how cool is it to have fossils in your home? Like, what the hell? Give them to me. A small art book. I'm so thinking about it. I do want at least like for people to buy the digital copy or something, but it hasn't gotten on my mind yet. I don't think we have as many kind of concept arts for many revisions. I don't think we do all the revisions that the studios do. But I've been thinking about it so much. Probably could get to it. I've kind of started on it, but I've been kind of putting it off until we have episode 2 done, so I can also include some of that stuff from there. Like this making of a video, where it's just basically, you know, the story behind the process and it kind of changes we made in the story, and it kind of, you know, deleted storyboards. As a kid, I used to love those, like, oh, deleted scene from, you know, deleted scenes from my favorite cartoons. I'd consider doing something familiar with Floating Bird. Maybe I should do it like this. Yeah, you are tempting me to create an art book now. I have bought the... I never buy anything. I'm such a... I don't know what's it called, but I never buy anything. And I've got the Spider-Verse. I think this for the second Spider-Verse. I got the art book. And I remember reading it so much. So maybe I could take inspiration from that. A little bit. I don't know what I'm doing with this. What am I doing with this amulet line? I guess I'm just gonna try to keep it straight. No shenanigans with it. Kind of goes up here. I don't know if I want that. How to open a live broadcast similar to this. Just download OBS and you can live stream. Is the amulet somehow linked to the queen? I wouldn't say necessarily. I guess not really in a way that you could kind of be thinking of, like it's made by the queen or something like that. I wouldn't say that. Everything is kind of interconnected, but I thought you could not get ads in the stream. Or did you guys get ads? Oh man. I know I have an add button to add ads, but I haven't pressed it. I always zoom out so I can see like the full picture of the movement. Like, aha! She is moving, fellas. See, I'm gonna make it go like this. And I've got some like delayed I've got like certain parts of her body's delayed, but I think I'm just gonna put it all on the same frame rate so I can work with this better a bit. And so I don't have to go crazy too much. It's just gonna go back up, okay. I'm focusing. Time to be an adult. What Asha's pendant does. It heals her, I guess that's mainly... That's the current powers, yeah. Thank you for the nice words, Aurora. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, gang. Bye. -bye. Bye -bye, gang. Bye -bye. 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 Bye It's all a bit silly sometimes. I'll use Adobe Animate to animate. I used to use Adobe Photoshop for the longest time, but I'm kind of transitioning as this is like a little bit... the replay is faster in Photoshop. It's very often if you had more than one layer going on, it would take forever to like play back the animation. And as animators, I like to kind of like preview it very often to check if what I've just done is correct. And in Adobe Photoshop, it was very difficult to do. We've kind of transitioned into Adobe Animate. It took a bit while to learn, and I'm getting old and I don't like changing, you know, my animation process that I've been animating with for literally years, just changing into a whole different app, but I've managed. I don't think I'm an expert as I would like now, but I bet there's ways to make things go a little bit faster in this app, but oh well. Oh well. It is what it is. Da, da, da. So I found out I'm a massive foodie. I cannot just make a basic meal. Like if you ask me to make just a quick lunch, I will spend an hour on that stuff. I cannot just make a poorly made lunch. That's rather impossible. A bedtime stream. It's a morning stream. Damn. I can't believe what bedtimes it is, but I feel like the only reasonable bedtime is currently in the middle of the ocean. Maybe in Hawaii. Hold on. What's time in Hawaii? Time in Hawaii right now. Current local time in Honolulu. Yep, if you're in Hawaii, that's a reasonable time to go to bed. Otherwise, nobody else. You guys are sleeping way too early or way too late. Absolutely outrageous. Outrageous bedtimes here, fellas. Absolutely outrageous. I think I could be live streaming in the evening for me as well, and since it's morning, you guys calculate what that would be for you guys, I guess. Usually that's a normal time for Americans. Others, I have no idea. Usually sleepy time for Asia and Australia. Others, I don't know. It's time stream. I don't know, do you guys ever tend to buy merch of any creators that you watch? I've been thinking about merch, but I kind of mainly wanted to wait until after episode 2 so we can have the whole Sandra merch. I don't even know if you guys be in any way interested in it. The only thing I know is that there's like commissions. I know how much people like want those or what to price for those because I have some experience with them, but otherwise I don't have any other experience. Pricing t-shirts. Honestly, I think it's kind of funny that Sandra and Asha are named that way. She leaves no ash. I think she's gonna burn ash and there's gonna be no more ash. In theory, maybe Asha could maybe fit more Sandra because like ash, you know, Sandra's like a fire cat. And sand. Sandra, I mean, Asha's kind of sand colored, so naming her Sandra, but it's very surface level. I feel like the names fit them in the way that, I mean, Sandra sounds. Sandra is often associated with like the badass characters. The strong, independent woman. I don't think it would fire her up. Her powers work in a bit of a similar way than just being a giant furnace. Definitely a cool idea though. But I didn't think she'd exactly work that way. I need to eat my breakfast. I've had my breakfast prepared here. We mustn't starve, guys. Calories are important. Regarding when episode 2 comes out, it very much depends on a lot of factors, but it is definitely difficult to discern because many of us, or the majority of us, are students in school, and it very much depends on what the time will allow us to work on. So while I do try to keep the production going, it definitely depends on a lot of people, including the animators, the background artists, and especially music. it is very difficult to discern who's gonna be how busy and who's gonna have something happen, and it's very hard to say when exactly the episode will air. I'm definitely hoping this year, but it's hard to say. When the first teaser trailer or the first trailer came out for episode 1, we were definitely more behind than we are on the episode. We are more... I wanted to release the trailer much later or much closer to the episode's release, but since I've gotten into the whole debacle of the whole thesis and university, like I said, just university just derails everything. I was like, okay, need responses. I had like no reference if I was going to get responses or not, and I was like, okay, if I get, I'm gonna motivate people by releasing the trailer early to kind of get this call to action, just get as many responses as I can to hopefully pass. And that will technically speed up the process of the episode as well. So, in response to the question, episode 2 should come sooner after the trailer than episode 1 did. But I'm still not really able to respond exactly to how it is because it's all very, very random. So I guess that's what that's how I'd answer it. What am I eating? I'm eating an avocado baguette. Because like I said, I need to get my calories in. I'm desperately trying to gain weight. And I'm desperately failing. Mostly because of stress and school and just the tendency some of you guys might know of where you're like so focused on doing something that you're like you forget to eat, or you're like, I'm so locked in. If I get up and just cook for half an hour, I'm not gonna be in the mood anymore. So you try to like speed run some task you're doing and then you forget. That's me, so I'm trying to kind of not do that and eat as much as possible. But like I said, it prevents me from getting locked in fully. I'm gonna be trying to mute my mic so you don't hear me chew. If you could have any meal for lunch, what would it be and why? Damn, what do I want right now? I have no idea. I have no idea what I want right now. What would I want to eat? I have no idea. What do I want to eat? And that's the problem, I can never decide. So, something. How many scenes will there be in Loading Burn? I think there's about 9 in like the way we categorize it. It's not exactly like true, maybe like professional standards, but that's how I, just for the sake of being able to track it in the spreadsheet. I've kind of cut it up like that into, I think it's 9. That's my assumption. She just have her claws out for this. Get the claws in real quick. Yeah, I feel like I'm very much the type of person I can't really focus on too many tasks at once. So I do try to kind of complete things or like have days for specific tasks, which is notably school and such. But the problem is with school, there's certain deadlines to meet for school. I don't have like, you know, strict deadlines for load and burn. You know, if I don't manage to animate it, that's like fine, because, you know, there's no failing. Doesn't really matter how long it takes. But with school, you know, if you're don't turn that assignment in, if you don't study for that test, then it's game over. So school always, because the way I think about things seems to take priority and just completely dwarfs any of my attempts to do animation. Because I'm just like, if I don't animate today, that's fine. If I don't do this, they're gonna kick me out of school. So it's definitely very... not very balanced, I'd say. I just want to get done with school. But it seems like there's always more things to do. More tasks, more exams. I don't know what my favorite book could be. I've mainly been stuck in the romance sections right now. Which is rather silly. I was obsessed with Sanderson's books, Brandon Sanderson. There was like one book he has about like, or this book series he has about superheroes. And I used to love that so much. I think the world building was so unique and interesting. Like basically, like a week after I read my first Sanderson book, I found out he had like a book signing in the Czech Republic, in my country, in Prague, and I was like, well, because he has this series on YouTube about like how to write magic and how to, yeah, all these kind of world building questions. It's a very nice series. It's like, if you're an artist and you need some background like stuff, absolutely lovely. Just listen to him talk about that type of stuff. Mhm. How many hours does it take to read Warrior Cats? A lot. I tried to catch up to Warrior Cats, but like when I was a kid, I was mainly like a My Little Pony gal. But then I was like, oh, the Warrior Cats is where all the artists are at. So I speedrun. I found like all the book copies somewhere online. It's okay, like I wasn't doing anything but reading on my laptop in my bed, literally from the start of day to the end. I felt so sick. Like I was like such a cave dweller. I'm glad I finished reading them, but that was not good for any part of my health. I'm snacking. Oh yeah, the library holds on the Sanderson's books are crazy. I don't remember, but he has this main famous series that he's known for. I mean, he has the fake books, but there's like one series that's actually like normal sized. I don't fully remember what it is. But after reading the his books, like his very unknown books, and I've like bought them. I was like, oh, I want to read his other series that's more famous. But but yeah, the hold times are crazy. Let's see. It's like some archive, I think, called like the series. Mistborn? I don't know. Let me find. I have the book signed, like the first book from the series that I read and loved. Oh yeah, I read Elantris. It was so depressing. Yeah, one of them is called Calamity, Steelheart, and Fire. I have no idea. I see this in Czech for some reason. It was very... I don't know. I barely remember what was in it, but I remember I liked this, so... Elantris was so depressing for me. It was a lot of suffering. I was like, damn guys, are we really witnessing children die? People starve? I kind of missed this part. Yep. Let me fix some silly stuff. The reason why I always have toss here is I cannot focus on animating and questions at the same time. I need bro to read that out for me. My attention span. They took my attention span away. Is this mean related to Asha's mom? I don't think so. I did like the theory, but I don't think I can really make that into reality. I do not know when it will come out. I'm sorry, guys. If I knew, I'd tell you. You see, my boss texted me. Give me a second. See. My attention span does not exist. I ain't got nothing. I wanna... I'm gonna let this just play back and I'm gonna finish my breakfast. I might be AFK for like a minute or two. I'm still here and I'm reading the questions. I'm just gonna mute myself so you don't hear my chomping. Alright, I have snacked. The snacks have been consumed. Let me get back to the questions. What got you first into making animation? Honestly, I don't quite remember what exactly it was. I've always kind of been an artsy kid. And I blame it on My Little Pony very often. I kind of don't know what specifically. I just always liked making art. And my family always was like, oh, you're so talented, look at those little drawings of you, so I never stopped. And the animation was just like an extension of that. So honestly, I blame My Little Pony. Because those were my first animations. It was the only thing I drew for a long time. So I'm gonna assume that's what got little me into animation. But you never know. Let's see. Am I self-taught yet? For animation, I'm completely self-taught. I did go to an art high school. But that was sort of after I've done most of the memes. Like shortly after getting there, I think I did the 16 shots, which was no input from the actual like no input from the actual art school. The art school, what they primarily taught me was more of a design, like posters, like commercial graphic design, rather than any Any animation. That's what I would say, at least. Well, the battery's getting dangerously low. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I definitely did watch all the maps and such before I even read the book. I remember very specifically that Blixamy did a song about Hollyleaf, where she's kind of trapped in the caves. And I remember what I thought the song was about before I read the books and after I read the books. And to be honest, to Blixamy's credit, I pretty much very much understood with the limited information of what kind of just happened. Somewhat. It was definitely interesting experiencing the animations before the actual books and making your conclusions based off that first. I don't think the authors of Warrior Cats truly understand how much of a PR the whole animation community did for them. I don't think Warrior Cats would be as popular without the animators becoming hyperfixated on it so much. Where do I find music? It's very depends on what I'm listening to. Sometimes, for example, the most recent animatic that I did was from the Epic the Musical. That was just, it's like, you know, pretty popular in animation communities right now as well. So anything that might kind of start being popular on TikTok might enter my radar and I might get like an idea for it. I think that didn't come to play, which was like an original animation of mine used because Kipo, the animated show, used that song in their animated series. That's like a whole DreamWorks animated series. I was like, oh yeah, I really like that song. And then I got an idea for an animation to do with it. So it's very often songs that already kind of in some way exist or are popular in the animation community. Aside from that, there's Cloud Kid, which you might know. If you ever see like an animation meme like competition, like when you can win the drawing tablets, I know Surflove did a few of those, I think. Often those are from, I don't want to say a record label company, but just like this publisher. This publisher, hi Toss, this publisher called CloudKid, and what CloudKid does, they allow you to use the animations, you know, copyright free, so you can actually collect ad revenue. So they've been getting quite popular in animation memes as well. So I think I've also used one of the songs, and they like every month they send like Yo, hello guys, we've got some new songs. All these you can use for free. Just, you know, fill this out and you can use it for free. So I sometimes have a look through there to see if there's any interesting new songs I might have an idea for. Animation program, I use Adobe Animate. Toss is locked in a damn cave. In a dark room. No, it's a cave, Toss. You're in a cave. Muhahaha. You will never see the light of day, Tossarn. What inspired me to create Loading Burn? I'd be able to answer this question like a few years ago. Now, I'm not sure. I think what I originally thought, or what I originally said, is kind of like a mix of, you know, Avatar The Last Airbender, Full Metal Alchemist with a bit of Monte Cristo like sprinkled into it. But that was back when the story was much simpler, I'd say, and much more like reminiscent of those works. Nowadays it's a bit more of its own thing. I don't think I've known fully what inspired it. I have what I call the, I don't want to say the Bible of Loading Burn, but it was like the first thing that I did with Loading Burn. I had this kind of rough idea for the characters, and the characters, all of the characters, or the main cast, you see, namely, yeah, Asha, Sandra, Dante, and Asmin, they were kind of a part of this a little bit of a different universe I had in my head. It was very starkly different, and looking back to it as a kid, I've mostly used those characters as a kind of, I don't want to say a coping mechanism, but I'm gonna say a coping mechanism. And then I was like, you know, I have this other idea, and kind of shaped off from there. I did or what I called the Bible previously. It was just this comic book, like one-page comic book. They gave us like a few words in the art school that was like, oh, you need a comic and you need to include these items or these words in it. And I just created the kind of the first interaction between Asha and Sandra, which was like starkly different to what it is now. They meet at a bar, which sounds like the beginning of a joke, but originally what it kind of was Asha was looking, she was given this family pendant, either a pendant or like a ring that I had, and she was like trying to figure it out because it kept like reacting to Sandra, as you can kind of see in 16 shots. And she's like, yo, you don't know anything about this? And she's like, sorry, I got other problems. I'm a criminal and I like being criminal, so bye-bye. I don't want to associate with... But then she kind of helps her out. It was very, very... Well, I say very different, but you guys might say, yeah, that sounds exactly like 16 shots, but I promise you, it felt... The idea of what later on happens, I think I can actually tell you, because it's like in no way connected to the Loading Burn that is now. It was a bit more Sandra-centric, where Dante and Ismene were basically like the villains. Asha and Sandra were... Oh, wait, no. Sandra and Ismene were either neighbors or they were like related. And what basically happened that someday both Sandra and Ismin were taken prisoners by Dante. And how do I even explain this? Basically, Ismin kind of faked her own death to Sandra to be with Dante, or she kind of abandoned Sandra to be with Dante. And Sandra got really pissed about all that, and she kind of like this, and she escaped, and I mean, this does sound reminiscent of the current where it is now. I mean, that was like the basic setting stone, but yeah, it was heavily focused on Ismin betraying Sandra. In some way. And when I say it like that, it is very reminiscent, but it was mainly like Ismin was the main antagonist because she was like greedy and she wanted to live in the castle and something like that. Very, very, very basic stuff, I'd say. Was the original premise. It was just like an idea. I did not have the full episode story planned. And then alongside that, I was fleshing out the story of Asha. So what had kind of happened, because the original idea, it was about, you know, Asha and Sandra meeting. And for some reason, the way I went about brainstorming more was what, instead of like initially, I thought more brainstorming the backstories for those two characters that I got the idea of in the comic, like separately. And you know, I figure out the backstory, and then they intersect, and they go, and then they intersect, and then they go on their own adventure together. It's very, for me, it was very reminiscent of, how do I say this? You know, Monte Cristo, and he meets the son of Mercedes, which is, I think he's called like Alberto. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he's called Alberto, but it's very reminiscent of the initial relationship Asha and Sandra have to kind of that, where Asha or Alberto are seeking some questions and Sandra or Monte Cristo have the answers, but they're kind of stringing the other along for their own plans as well. I was so obsessed with Monte Cristo, you have no idea. You guys have no idea. The Stolen Hope reboot. I did hear about it. I was watching the series. I don't remember what's the new form that they decided to use. I know they wanted to focus more on short videos like AMVs and PMVs, which I fully understand. Creating a series is so much different, especially if you are an artist and you're not, let's say, a manager or production, or you don't necessarily understand all the facets of the production in whole. It's very different to make an AMV compared to making a show. The sheer kind of like responsibility that lies on you on managing the series, as well as, you know, managing all the other players that are in it as well, such as the voice actors, other artists, and the music. That sheer also, for me, what I found out is that since I've been kind of thinking of load and burn as in terms of AMVs when it was just before I started to want to make it into a series. It was all just like AMVs in my head, or maybe just some scenes, but it was very much told through AMVs in my head when I was making the series. Because of that, I found out that I feel like I could tell the story better through AMVs and PMVs rather than the form that it could take in like a series where it's voice acted and it has all these scenes, because I don't think many of us are necessarily writers, especially, and the talent it takes to kind of do a storytelling where you just have a song playing in the background and now you're just tasked with conveying all the information visually. And now having to figure out what they're actually, saying to each other when you were just fine with being able to communicate it all visually. But now you gotta throw in some words into it as well. And I found out I could totally like make a load and burn a silent film just because I've already been kind of thinking about how to convey the story just purely with music in the background playing instead of any voices. It kind of makes it hard to write the dialogue for scenes, especially something that I struggle with is creating dialogue, just because I don't have much information to convey, or I don't really know how to convey this information. I know how to convey it visually, but not for audio. I'm not that great into it, but I do understand that I need to kind of have some discussions in the series. I need to have characters talking to each other. But I'm fine with showing it just visually. And kind of what happens is that it handicaps both the visual aspect and the dialogue. So now, something I felt like I could show visually, I don't, because I've already kind of had it said. So I don't spend the extra time doing it visually. Sorry, my mom came in. But yeah, I feel like it just kind of handicaps the expression. Because I'm thinking a lot into how to communicate something audibly that I might not even think to just... Or if I were to just convey it visually, I wouldn't have any dialogue in the show. So I think I do struggle with that a lot, especially because conveying things visually would be more expensive or time consuming compared to audio, because in audio I can just have a voice actor say it, bam bam, done in a minute. If I were to convey some emotion or anything like that visually, I would have to, spend all this time on these extra frames and etc., and it would just lengthen it. So I do understand why often shows convey something audibly instead of visually, even though people like critique it often, where it's like, show don't tell. But I do understand that sometimes a compromise has to be made, where you're like, showing this would take, so much effort. So there's definitely a fine line of what is fine being said without shown, without compromising any the quality or experience, and what needs to be shown instead of told, so you get a better experience of the story, I'd say. But yeah, the managing side, absolutely something that doesn't get talked about enough. I do kind of see this for some reason in... What is it? In a hell of a buzz or has been hotel, where people are like, this shot, Viv did such a poor job on this, or like they critique the creator of the show for very of the minute details, like maybe some errors in animation or anything like that. And I'm like, I'm 100% certain Vivzy Pop like does not animate her show like anymore because it's so much work, especially since she has like several of them. I believe she kind of oversees and like approves things, but I'm like 100% sure she is not animating the majority of the shots of her show. Or maybe the character designs. I think she has the final say, but I think there's so many other artists working for her that I don't think she's like responsible for it anymore, because there's running like shows, being the producer or director is so much work in and of itself. I don't think there's any room for her to be doing any of the, as we say, a minion work. How do cats build towns and things like that without hands? I've given my cats like ability to grab things with their paws because I'm gonna like draw that. They are more flexible with their like paws as well. And I've made like this little thumb that they have a little more dexterous, so they can kind of reach out and grab things with the thumb as well, kind of. And there's also several creatures you're gonna. I mean, you technically saw it in the trailer where there's other animals as well that might be a little bit more dexterous, but I basically just bumped up the stats of the cats to be able to not only grab things with their paws, but also etc. with their mouth and tail. Their tail is also capable of grabbing stuff. So in my show, and you're definitely gonna like see this, and I think you saw this with in the trailer as well. I think there's a shot where Asha like holds up a poster to some cat and it scurries off. Yeah, they hold stuff in their mouths, in their paws, and etc. I think I'm gonna get to see it more in action, or maybe when in episode 1 as it exchanges the coins with Asha. But yeah, they use their mouths a lot as well. I think in episode 1 you saw Asha's dad hold the rope of the boat with his mouth. So they're not necessarily limited by the current cat's physiques. Yeah, it was just he kept it somewhere, I don't know. But I had an idea in a show was that just Asha has such a bushy tail she can like literally store things in it and it won't fall out, but I don't know. Oh, I was under the belief I don't need to show where they put the coins. It's not important to the story. They just put it somewhere, it goes off screen. No need to show where the coins go. It's a mystery. Yeah, cartoon logic for real. Does Asha still have pockets? No, she can just put it in and it would fall out. There's a problem on the animation. I think we could see him. Oh, let me calculate. Episode 4. I think it was. Episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4. Yeah. Pockets made of tail. Yeah, pockets made of tail. Etc, etc. So yeah. And actually, going back to the topic, I think what like often a criticism I've heard of has been Hotel, like in directed towards where was the storyboards, I think. I have no idea, but I do remember specifically thinking like, yeah, she doesn't do that stuff anymore. And yeah, in a big production like Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss, she has the people and the funds to be able to kind of step back and be able to oversee the general progression of the series. I do not have that liberty, and I still do storyboard, animate, and draw backgrounds of the majority of the shots. Runtime. I don't know how much you guys understand animation terminology. Does count to the resources. If you're able to hire a manager, hire yourself a manager. I have been thankfully able to receive help with the management and kind of overseeing the production from other fellow senior members of the production. But it's still such a pain, you just gotta think about so much. I don't know fully what technically the skill set of a manager entails, or what's like fully the job of the managers. Because for me, it's not only trying to figure out, you know, when to get what, but also who's gonna do what, considering, you know, they have this school, they have this much time. But also, you know, some people are good at more action, and some people are much more better at like lip sync and acting and voice acting and like the emotion. And then you're just like, I can't give this shot to someone who's gonna, you know, go ham on this like very soft and slow shot. I need this to give it to someone who has more tendency to have like slower animation, more subtle emotions, expressions, etc., etc. You kind of learn to know the skill set of the people who are working with you, unless they're like, you know, a chimera and they can do anything. People do have their specializations and are better at animating certain parts. And it's your job to kind of figure out who's best and what fits them. So one, they don't, you know, completely crash out because this is something, you know, they're not used to. They're gonna be really struggling with it. It's gonna add a bunch of time instead of, you know, giving us something that they're great at. But also animators want to improve, you know, and they might appreciate getting a shot while that, you know, they're not proficient in. But with the guidance of like more experienced animators, more senior animators that we have on the team, they might be able to learn how to do this shot better, how to animate this type of thing better. So it's a very, very much balancing of the needs of everyone on the production. Some people might prefer to always have like an assigned shot that they're doing, and some people don't want to get an assignment if they're like busy. You know, I'm busy this week, but I might be able to work on it this week. But don't give it to me yet, because I hate, you know, having an assignment while I can't work on it. It's gonna like weigh me down. It's gonna feel like I have too much work and I might procrastinate working on it. It's a lot like HR, like people management. They do. And like, since we're not a professional production, our animators are not like well versed in like absolutely everything. We both have like our weaknesses and our preferences. So a part of the job that comes with it as well is just to balancing those preferences and those skill sets that everyone has, to make sure everyone is happy. But yeah, setting deadlines as well. What is it for a lot of us is, you know, making sure everyone's like sending in their work in progresses. If they're not sending in work in progresses, why? How to, you know, motivate people, you know, is there something they're struggling with? Can we help them out? Etc, etc. But yeah, it's about giving out tasks primarily, but there's a lot on deciding who does what tasks than what meets the eyes. Certain people might be better at animating a certain character, or might have a preference. For example, if they get a bad shot, you know, they're not gonna want to work on it. It's not what they're proficient at, so it's gonna have them spend more time on it. And of course, nobody wants to spend too much time on this sort of task that they get. Hello, welcome back, Nesei. I do definitely believe it's a lot to keep track of. aside from learning how to actually effectively communicate what to do in a certain given task. Man, I'm sleepy. The animation is cool as hell. It's very impressive what we can do as animators. I'm glad y'all are interested in the story. Makes me more motivated to work on stuff. I know there's additional... I think this gets talked about very often on like the needs to... the perceived need to be productive all the time that kind of weighs on you. How is the thesis coming along? All good? I just got done interviewing Elise yesterday. And we kind of talked about the thesis topic as well. I do have some initial results. And I've sort of been thinking of making... I don't know how loud the music is. Hold on. I'm gonna make it a little bit lower. I've sort of been thinking of making a video. Something like a video essay on the topic because I've done so much research on this as part of the thesis that I'm like, this could be worth a... this could be worth a video. Especially since I'm hoping it might offer new things, like new information. Not from the research that I did, but in general from what I've read online. I don't know why I'm talking so slowly. I'm like speaking one word at a time. But I feel like my brain can't handle drawing a straight line and saying a few words at the same time. Is the animation or the conversation? You can't have both. I got an AI ad. What the hell? It knows what I'm saying. Do you want to take like a nap? Can't for the life of me figure out what I want to have for lunch. Somebody asked me earlier. I have still no idea. That part of my day is still a mystery. I'm kind of glad I had this sketch, because it's so hard getting back into the flow of art. It's so difficult. I don't know what the EPIB server is. But yeah, in relation to the pieces that I'm preparing, because next week we kind of have like a preliminary presentation of it in front of the actual committee. And one thing I mentioned yesterday is that there's like a slight possibility that they're not like satisfied with the results or your objectives or the methods that you used, that they might make you postpone it until next year. So they basically put off my graduation until basically next year, which I think would suck. I'm gonna come out and say, extending my studies by 1 year, I think that would suck. Don't think I need to say it, but yeah. So what I've kind of been stressing about is making sure the results are good, that they like my graphs, etc., etc. So I haven't been able to focus on like animation as much as I would like to. But one thing I realized yesterday, like not yesterday, like this night, I was like laying in bed, absolutely stressed. I couldn't close my eyes and I was like so stressed. I was like, even though yesterday was kind of like a rest day for me, I was decided I would just like do other things than think about the thesis. Still no, hella stressed about it. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. This stress, this ain't productive. I have no idea where I was going with that. Just thought I mentioned, it's very, because due to the fact that they might not agree with my research. What's my major? I'm studying economics and management, okay? I mean, I am studying management as well, which is like helping with the management of the load and burn, but they haven't really taught us how to manage. They more like how to be manager of like a factory and you have like products coming out of your firm or something like that. I've gotten asked, how does like the thesis topic on like AI and opinions of artists and consumers on AI correlate with my major? It doesn't, but it's like defendable. Because what's this major is basically a chimera of basically all other majors. So we have like marketing in there, we have of course economics, marketing, statistics, math, yeah, and management of course as well. So in a way my thesis is defensible because it is basically market research into the market for AI among artists and consumers, which is why there were many questions such as like, would you buy AI art, etc., or why I asked people that, to kind of make it further go into this technically market research. And my colleagues do very... My colleagues also, or my friends at uni also have very, like, not necessarily like, economics focused stuff. Like, I can they're not gonna kill me if I leak this stuff, but one of my friends is like focusing on like environmental, it's like a lot of economy focus, like costs and like appeal of like becoming environmentally efficient. Other is like focusing on like loot boxes. I don't necessarily remember what it's like mainly focused on, but it's very like You know, loot boxes, do you buy them? What's your opinion on them? But yeah, my topic is like in that way kind of focused. One thing I'm mainly struggling with is that the presentation that I'll be doing next week is the maximum time that they have allocated for it is 5 minutes, so you can't really go over 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is such a little time to condense like over 40 pages of an essay and like 20 graphs and like 20 findings that I got out of my essay. So my main struggle is making sure I am convincing enough that I choose the most like important graphs, or trying to figure out how to put the most important information into one graph without sacrificing any sort of like information or anything that might lead them to think that I didn't do any research or anything like that, or that the essay is lacking anything. I do kind of have the results summarized in a nice little script. But the graphs, I don't know how to put everything in one graph to kind of showcase without like completely filling it with information, the slides. I don't know if I should like put most of it into text form. Like, should I mention the stuff I talk about in text on the slides as well? Or if it's fine if I just talk about it and don't show the text that I'm talking about. If I say, you know, AI is perceived negatively, do I need to put that on the slide? Because that's like the main, finding that I got from this. Or is it just fine showing a graph where you can technically see it, but the result is not there, the result itself. So I can't put graphs in it. I can't put text and graphs. I can't put either of them, and I think graphs are better, but I don't know if I should put the text in there as well, necessarily. Doopy-doopy-doo. And kind of what especially scares me if I go back to it is that because I had to rush it, I had to rush the survey and etc. I did spend a lot of time thinking about it. But then I kind of realized I didn't like include a question that asked about like the perceived environmental impacts of it, which, because I later found out I should technically include talking about the studies that researched the environmental impacts of it. But if I talk about that and then I don't include a question about it, that kind of makes me like, why did I not include a question about it? So now I'm either just gonna say, there were so many questions already, so we didn't get to talk about the environmental impacts, the questionnaire would just be full of so many questions. Or if I delete the part on where I talk about the studies on the environmental impacts of it, and kind of pretend like it's not relevant to the opinions. Because technically what I've basically mainly included are the main things that are kind of subjective as well, such as like, is something unethical? Do you think it has emotion or not? Something that, you know, can't be, you know, objectively kind of proven. But for example, environmental impact, you know, it can be proven, we can track that, we can see, same as I didn't add a question on whether AI like makes artworks faster than humans, because of course it does. There's no kind of opinion to be had about it, whether it does or does not. So I guess I could defend it in that way. Because a lot of the questions that I included, does it make it more accessible? It's kind of like these subjective opinions. Yeah, scripts are annoying. You just have that vision in your head, but then you gotta put it on paper. I think what also mainly boosts my nervousness, I think you guys can relate to this as well. If you, for example, if you have an upcoming test or an exam, but you already know how, like, you know, the exams look like from your teacher. For example, if they do like A, B, C, D, or if they want you to have like open answers and you write everything down, that kind of like makes you calmer because you kind of know typically what the teacher asks about. If they, for example, put more emphasis on definitions, or if they put more emphasis on like your own thoughts as well, that kind of calms you down. Especially for this, the presentation that I have upcoming, I don't really have any reference. There's absolutely like 0 examples online. I've been able to kind of find photos of the event happening and like get a peek on how the slides look like. And in my opinion, they have way too much information on the slides, especially since it's the presentation is supposed to just last 5 minutes. I'm like, there's no way you talk about this section for that long. Because some people, you know, fail the presentation. I'm kind of left thinking, is that an example of the good presentation, or is that an example of the bad presentation? You know, I can't really correlate what they got. Because it doesn't say what they got. Writing, my beloved. Yeah, I don't necessarily mind scripts and such, but it is definitely different imagining things than I'm putting it into words. You're gonna make up your stuff. You gotta decide on what you want. Oh. Oh. Look at the animation. It goes whoosh. Whoosh whoosh. I'm gonna replay this a few times and then I'm gonna start preparing lunch, etc. And then start worrying about my presentation again. Good night to the people who are going to bed. If you're American, you definitely need to go to bed. I know you guys, it's like 4 a.m. over there, okay? I'm gonna try to look on a... I've been mainly trying to look for examples of the presentation in my country, maybe. Maybe the US has theses as well. Academic bachelor thesis. And maybe they can give me a better idea of what the hell I'm supposed to do. "9 p.m. over here." Where on earth are you? 9 p.m. Is it like Australia? How much this time is in Australia? Well done. Sydney, current time. So somewhere over there, Australia indeed. Yeah, I got a vague idea of what time it is around the world. Like in relation to mine. Because I have friends and production members from around the world and it's always like... I know they're not gonna respond now because they're sleeping. Celestial need to go to sleep. You know what? And I need to make my calories. I need to make my lunch. I might stream in the evening as well, which I think is going to be more appealing for Americans. If it's 12 now, that means 17 is 5. Maybe in about like 6 to 7 hours or so, which I think is an okay wake up time for the Americans. I might follow this up. Right now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make lunch and I'm gonna focus on not worrying, which I guess completely ruins the point of not thinking about stuff. I'm gonna try to not to worry, if that's even possible. And I might check back in a few hours and see if I can finish this animation today or if I'll have to follow it up tomorrow. She do be dragging her up. Kapow. Yeah, that's it for today, fellas. Or for today. I might come back today or tomorrow, depending on what your time zone is. In several hours. I do definitely want to continue streaming. But right now I have food. And food cannot wait. And not so gentle, yoink. She's very gentle about it. Very petite, very demure. I thank you guys for staying with me in this early morning stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned a bit about the process of animation. And I'll see you guys in a little bit. Americans, y'all should sleep, by the way. Put on some nice video essay and fall asleep to that. Good night, fellas.